Hey guys, it's Not Lammers of Invoked 101. Welcome back, and today I'm doing my new Invoked Shaddoll deck, Invoked Shaddoll Mekk-Knights. I took this to my competitive locals last night and I got first with it. Granted, one of those things was a tie, and it came down to tiebreakers on who got first, so... but it still got first place for me, and my matchups were... it was an FTK deck, that new Rescue Ferret FTK, and then there was Crusadia Guard Dragon, and then another Guard Dragon deck. And I tied with the last Guard Dragon player because our second game just went so long and we only had 2 minutes for game 3, so we just ended up tying. But real quick, before we get into the deck profile, down in the description there is a link to our Patreon if you guys feel like supporting the channel in any way. Down there is where you can do it. You can also get yourself some cool stuff such as an Invoked 101 mat. Also down there is a link to our Teespring, so if you feel like getting yourself an Invoked 101 t-shirt or whatever it is, because we have a few other items such as stickers, that's all down in the Teespring. Anything helps. And then also down there is a link to our Discord, so if you feel like chatting with us, then that's where to go. Anyways, with that out of the way, we're going to move the extra deck off to the side and we're going to talk about the main deck. And this is kind of going to be like the other deck profile, the Cyberdark stuff, where I went through it in like engines, except this time it's going to be a little bit more close to the older stuff. So to start us off, we have triple Alistar the Invoker, your bread and butter of the deck. He is probably the most important card, one of the most important cards in the strategy. Being able to fetch Invocation and continue plays and basically give you extra copies of Super Poly, which is super awesome, as Invocation is such a good spell card, and this card, Alistar, is such a great monster, and honestly one of my favorite cards and part of my favorite archetype in the game. After that, we have Double Time Maiden. This is to get us out some early Link Karibo, as it only requires a level 1. This is level 1, and it also helps set up Mekk-Knights, because you can special summon this, and if you open this, a Mekk-Knight, and a spell card, you can special summon this, turn it into Link Karibo, set the spell card, and then summon the Mekk-Knight there. So just helps you do some stuff. Also, it instantly, if you have this in Alistar, it makes a Link 2 and Mekaba. So that's pretty dope. And then after that, we have the Mekk-Knight portion, which of course is Purple Nightfall, who has the amazing effect of being able to banish himself and search a Mekk-Knight and then come back on the standby phase. Well, he can banish any Mekk-Knight and bring it back on the standby phase, but usually it's himself. And also, he's the biggest main deck Mekk-Knight with 2,500 attack. Pretty awesome card, level 8, very cool. One of my personal favorite Mekk-Knights, if not my personal favorite Mekk-Knight. And then we have Double Move Man, who, if you can't tell by the name, simply moves a Mekk-Knight out of the way. He moves to an alternate column. Very cool card. And then lastly, for the last Mekk-Knight, we play one Blue Sky. Now, there were times when I was playing this deck last night that I was like, I should have ran a bigger Mekk-Knight package, and I may change up some ratios in the deck. I'm running 41 right now, so I may change up some stuff to incorporate a second Blue Sky and a Red Moon, finding a way to fit in those two cards in this deck. But that's it for the Mekk-Knight stuff. Moving into the hand trap stuff, we play triple Ash because it's kind of like mandatory for these past few formats, like ever since release, really, except that one format where it wasn't really good. Need Ash. And then triple Ogre. Ogre has become more and more useful, I've noticed, as things have gone on, so I really like playing it just to be able to get something off the board when it activates its effect. Like, even though it might replace itself, like if something summons a monster, you can Ogre it and take away one of their monsters and potentially stop them in their tracks. Very useful card. And then after that, we have the Shu Doll Engine, which is something that I fell in love with over the course of over the night. So we have one Shaddoll Falco, who I think is the one who special summons itself. Yeah, so this one, if it's sent to the graveyard, you get to special summon it in face down defense mode. Shaddoll Beast, which is my personal favorite one because it lets you draw a card. And then Shaddoll Hedgehog, who lets you search one. I felt that these three were the best Shaddolls to play in the deck. Honestly, I could cut the Falco or the Hedgehog. I think that if I had to play two, it'd be these two, because I think that they're the best ones. But these are definitely some really cool cards, and with the reprints coming up of them, they're going to be a lot easier to pick up because they are kind of old. And after that, of course, I played triple Shaddoll Fusion. I borrowed these two from Gara of Benton 10 last night to finish out my deck. This is just the one that I've had for quite some time, actually. And then, so but I'm hoping to pick up 2 copies of my own. So big shout out to Gar Event Intent for letting me use these last night. It was a very cool, deck. I love this thing. All right, moving into the other stuff. So that's it for kind of like the monsters and the main stuff. Moving into the spells, we have triple invocation. Of course, one of the best spell cards in the deck. Just being able to banish stuff from your opponent's graveyard and your own to make invoked fusions. Just an amazing card overall. And to go with that, we have double super poly, which I would love to get some super rares or even secret rares of this card. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. This card is amazing, being able to just use your stuff from your opponent's field and potentially even all their monsters with certain decks. I actually ended up using this against the Guard Dragon player because he had a Boral Savage, and I was able to get out Link Kribo, so I just turned them into Starving Venom and did a whole bunch of stuff with it. It was very cool. It was nice. Triple Magical Meltdown. This is your Alistar Searcher right here, and it also turns all your fusion summons into super polys because they can't respond to it, which is pretty amazing. I actually, the Guard Dragon player tried to negate my super poly last night, which was kind of funny. I was like, you can't. Mostly, 1, because I had this, and 2, it says you can't respond to it because he had Boral Savage. And of course, double terraforming to search this. This card is also awesome because even if you have all 3 of these, you can still set this as not only as a bluff, but also to help you summon your Mekk-Knights, which is pretty awesome. After that, we have triple Called by the Grave. This is just to make sure Alistar goes through, and our Blue Sky and our Nightfall, all that good stuff. I used this probably 4 times last night because I had it. It was pretty awesome. I used it to prevent fusion summons. I used it to prevent like all sorts of stuff. It was cool. And then after that, double Twin Twisters. This card's another really invaluable card this format because we are in a back row heavy format right now, at least until the ban list comes up and we see what gets hit, because that could change how things are. And then after that, we play double Pot of Desires. This card was okay. I enjoyed using it, and I didn't find it like intrusive at all, really. But I definitely, I don't know. I'm a little iffy on it, but I like. It didn't brick me at any point. I usually always banish the second Desires off of it. So, and then after that, we have 1 World Legacy Succession for our Monster Reborn. I find that this card's a little bit better than Monster Reborn, and that's the main reason I don't play Reborn, is because this one's searchable. So, and it does like the same exact thing as Reborn, except to his own link monster points too. But if you revive Move Man, which is usually the guy who I went with, then you can just get him out of the way. So. That's it for the main deck. Moving into the extra deck, we have some awesome monsters up here. We have 2 Mekabas, because the light one is probably the easiest one to make in this deck, and he's a negate and he's big. He has 2,500. You can buff him to 3,500 using Alistar because he's like an honest for fusion monsters for 1,000, which I think I ended up using on Construct at one point because I needed her to be bigger. So that was really cool. He's really good. And then 2 Purgatrio. Now there was actually, Purgatrio is awesome. He has no activated effects. He has 3 inert effects, which is that he gains 200 per card your opponent controls, can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each, and has piercing damage. My opponent actually negated his effects at one point and then attacked into him, and I had 2 Alistars in my hand, so I made him 43. So he's the big, and he had already attacked with Boral Sword. Using its effect, so Boral Sword was only at 35, so he was the biggest thing on board, and he lost the battle at that point. So this guy is really cool, and he also won me another game against the first Guard Dragon player because I only had 800 and he had some odd amount, but he had an Ash in his graveyard, and I had everything I needed to make this, and it was awesome. After that, we have 1 Cocytus. This card is pretty cool. I don't make this a lot, but I like having it in the extra deck because if you can make it, it's one of the best ones that you can summon. And I prefer playing this one over the Earth one just because this one cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects, and it has a huge defense mode booty, which is 2,900. So it's super big and super kind of difficult to get over because you can buff its defense, I believe, by 1,000 is what Alistar says. After that, for the last little Invoked Fusion, we have 1 Kaliga. So a lot of people don't play Kaliga, and they kind of discount his value, but him being a dark is super awesome this format because you put him in defense mode, and then all your opponent can only activate, both of you can only activate one monster effect per turn, and you can only attack with one monster. And since you can buff Alistar with him on your opponent's turn, there's your monster effect for the turn. It's pretty amazing. So he's really good for just countering stuff. And for the last Invoked thing, we have one Invoked Elysium. I ended up summoning this once last night, which seems to be the ratio. Like, people, at least with Invoked players, we really only summon this like once or twice during an event, but when we summon it, it's usually a game winner. I actually didn't win that game though, but it did get Boral Sword and another card off the field, so that was good. So moving those out of the way, we do have some other fusion monsters such as Shaddoll Window, which only says you can special summon once per turn, right? Each player can only special summon monsters once per turn. And then if it's sent to the graveyard, you can pick up a Shaddoll spell or trap. And then of course we have the one construct, the main girl of the deck. This card is awesome, and what it does is if it battles a special summon monster, it just kills it instantly. And then if it's sent to graveyard, you get to pick up a Shaddoll spell or trap, and it also sends a Shaddoll from deck to grave, so which is pretty cool. But that's more for pure Shaddolls than this build, because just because like not a lot of them do anything, and Beast is a once per turn. And then after that, for the last one, we have one Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, which is a oh god, what is it? It's a 2 dark monsters on the field, and I actually took this from my buddy Adrian. I'm sorry, man. I need to get this back to you. So there we go. Or at least I need to trade it off him. That's it for the fusion monsters. Moving those aside, we have the linked monsters, which of course is one Alistar Madness Invoker. This card is awesome. I made this a lot last night, although there was at one point where like I think they goes into me and I couldn't. No, they turned all my stuff into dragons, and I couldn't make this. He needs 2 different monsters, 2 monsters with 2 different types and attributes. And then one of the Mekk-Knight, which allows you to search a World Legacy card by discarding a World Legacy card, which is pretty awesome. And then Link Kribo, like I mentioned earlier, Nightmare Phoenix for the back row pop, and lastly, one Borreload Dragon, because it's Borreload. So that's it for the main deck, the main stuff. I do have a side deck for this, and it's pretty underwhelming. It's not super fantastic, but I will show it off just because I played this at locals. So we have the Artifact Engine, which is Marltalk, double Scythe, double Lancia for stopping Banish, and triple Sanctum. And then after that, we have triple Evenly Matched for the board wipe. It's just one of those cards. And then one Solemn Warning. I felt that was like a good side deck card. Double Storming Mirror Force, and then lastly, one Magilancia. I felt Magilancia deserved to be in the side deck at least, so that way I have like all the invoked monsters at my disposal. So if I know they're playing a lot of Earths, or they're playing like something like Widow Anchor, and I can make the Earth one, then I should. So, and that's it. That's it for the deck. I had a blast playing this deck last night. Like the entire time I was playing this, I was like, I love the Shaddoll variant, and I love just the way that this deck was playing. So I had a lot of fun playing this. I definitely think it's worth giving a shot if you haven't played Invoked Shaddoll Mekk-Knight. It's very fun, because basically you just do normal. You still go second. You make this guy still, or you make this guy, whichever one you want, and then you make like Mekaba still. So you have like your normal board, and then you Shaddoll Fusion, get Construct as well. So it ends up being like, I don't know. I felt it was a better, stronger deck overall, and I kind of wish I had been playing this a little bit longer, but to be fair, Construct has been only recently got off the list, so it's whatever. But tell me what you guys thought about this deck in the comments below. I look forward to seeing it, and also down in the description below there is a link to our Patreon, our Teespring, and our Discord, so if you want to support us, you want to pick up a cool piece of merch, or you want to chat with us, all those links are down in the description below. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.